Hello, my friend, and greetings from Roger Birdsall Memorial Park in Cedar Falls. Cedar Falls Community Television is very excited to provide you with high school cross-country action. Today, it's the 2018 Rich Engel Classic. I'm Mark Simpson, joined by Cedar Falls Athletic Director Troy Becker. Troy, of course, the longtime boys cross-country coach for the Tigers for 22 years. And Troy, first of all, a huge event. This is one of the bigger ones in the state, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's 20 teams for the boys, 20 teams for the girls. We also have 7 junior high teams for boys and girls. So, basically almost 60 teams by the time you get everybody included into the event.
All right. Well, the girls beginning right now as we are underway here. And what's the key here in the very beginning portion of the race?
Well, every course has their pros and their cons. One of our strengths is we have a great start line. It's 160 feet wide. One of the negatives is you have about 300 yards until our first turn. And there's always a fine line between how hard to get out. You don't want to get out too hard and run yourself into oxygen debt right away. But in our course, if you don't get out and get into position, the course really tightens up after you go around these first flags here. That's 300 yards from the start line. And then you're going to go towards the back side of the course here. And if you notice, it's going to narrow down to about 10 meters wide. So at this point, if you don't have yourself in a good position, it's going to be very hard to pass. So, it's a point where get yourself out, get in position. And what I tell my athletes is once you get on that back side of the course, at that point, settle in and run. Athletes tend to run the first half mile a little bit too fast most of the time anyway. Don't expend a lot of energy trying to pass between that point and the first half mile because there's just not enough room to do it.
All right.
So just settle in.
Yeah, you look at the course right now, they're just kind of turning around one of the softball diamonds there. They're just underway. Is this a part of the course where it's a kind of more of a straight line?
So as they're coming up the back side of the course there's a slight uphill, and then they're going around another cone, and because they're coming back now towards the other ball diamond. As you're looking at it, if you know Birdsall, you're at the northeast side of the course at this point, and you can see that the leaders have already kind of established themselves. If you look at the girls out front, they should be in a position. I know that the Dubuque senior girl there is Claire Edmondson. She's one of the top-rated girls in the state. She's out in very good position, right where she should be. And the Waldert girl there is also in 3A, one of their top runners. They're coming up a little hill here, and as they go around the other ball diamond, they will be coming up to the half-mile mark of the course.
And I would imagine just going up and down those hills, very challenging.
Yeah, and there's Mackenzie Michael going by for the first time. She's our all-state track athlete. Yeah, what's unique about cross country is you got the up and the downs, you're on the grass. People who run road races a lot of times want to compare their times, but it's truly going to be a little bit slower when you're running in grass and you're making all these turns and you're going up and down. And today, as you can see, the course is a little bit wet and muddy, and along with the humidity and so forth.
Yeah, I was going to say, with the warmer weather, is this good for running for the team?
Well, it's always harder for everybody to run on a hot, humid day, so it's going to take a little bit more out of you. 200 there is Mackenzie Michael. She's coming through the half mile right at around 2:55, so people know right away she's under the 6-minute point. We also have the senior pack that came by there, and it shows the strength of senior. They're rated 3rd in the state, is they got a lot of those athletes in the top group there. And then you can see the rest of the Cedar Falls girls. Jessica Van Dorn came through at about 3:04 at the half mile, and Amara Lido came through at about 3:07, and Sarah Goodbauer about 3:11 for the Cedar Falls girls. So they're in good position for where they want to race for their times.
Again, this is the Rich Engel Classic here at Birdsall Park in Cedar Falls as the runners go right now. And explain the distance of the course right now, and what we see the time in the bottom right-hand corner.
Right.
What's a good time?
So, depending on the athlete, obviously, when they go through the half mile, a good time for a girl is anybody that's under a 6-minute pace is pretty good. They're going down the backside of the course right now, which is a little bit of a downhill where they can lift and recover a little bit. Our course is set up as basically 2 mile-and-a-half loops. It's not exactly a mile and a half because you have the start in there and the finish line, but we did change it 2 years ago to a mile-and-a-half loops, with the main reason is we wanted the finish to be on one half of the course and the start to be on the other half of the course. That way we can start the next race on time while other athletes are finishing.
And this is kind of unique where the fans are right on top of the athletes.
Hey, and they run from spot to spot. There's thousands of spectators out there. It's a very well-supported event. Anybody who comes by the event on that day will notice how crowded it is. There's a list of your teams that are attending.
Yeah, well, you can see from the big schools to the little schools like Denver. I mean, you can tell a lot of teams love to compete in this rich Engel Classic.
And for the 1A athletes, it gives them a chance to see some better competition. You get down to the state meet, and an athlete in 4A, they may be running a time, let's say around 19 flat. That may be 30th place, whereas a 1A athlete would be in the top 10 with that time. So it gives an athlete a chance to get some better competitions. There you can see Mackenzie Michael, number 200, is Cedar Falls top runner. She's also a state champion, the 800 in track and field. This last year, she led the team to a state champion in the distance medley relay. Very accomplished athlete. As I'm watching the race here and I'm seeing where she's at, I know Mackenzie pretty well, and I feel as the season goes on, one thing she needs to do is have a little bit more confidence and get a little bit out a little bit faster. In a field like this, I would expect her to be up a little bit closer towards the leaders. She'll need to do that later on in bigger meets.
All right, as you see them going around the lake here at Birdsall Park in Cedar Falls, and the music you hear, the drum corps, that kind of everybody can hear right now as throughout the meet. And I would imagine that's something kind of unique as well for this the Rich Engel Classic.
Right. Gerald Ramsey and Kyle Engelhardt with our music department, they get the drum line out there, and that's one of the things that athletes like the most about the Rich Engel is how those athletes come out and support them and do some things. Yeah, as you see the two leaders go by, that's Claire Edmondson from Senior and Gabby Moran from Wallert. And then you can see Dubuque Senior's number 2 runner going through at this time. And there's Jessica Van Dorn just went by the screen there, who is Cedar Falls' second runner at this time. At this point in the course, they just went by the mile. They're at about a mile and an eighth, and they're going up a long hill that's on the back south side of the course. You can see from this picture how the athletes are all going up that long, gradual hill. It's one of the things that makes it a little bit challenging. There went athlete 203 for Cedar Falls by the picture. That was Lydia Ochoa, I believe, that went by.
There we talked about the drums, the music you heard, and there they are performing. Get everybody fired up for this meet. And you look at the time, 7:25 right now, and you like the pace right now?
Yeah, I do. I know the times would be a little bit slower because of the heat and because of the damp, slower conditions. They're now coming down the back side of the course, and this is a long gradual downhill. One of your advantages of going up the hill is you get to come down it. This is where we really encourage our athletes to lift and recover. You can actually run faster and recover at the same time if you're efficient with your stride and where your foot strike is. And a lot of the good quality runners, as you see them go down the hill, their pace will increase, and yet they're actually able to relax and recover. As you see him shaking out a little bit here. Here comes Mackenzie right behind the Dubuque Senior girl.
See several large packs of runners in this meet. And for the teams right now, starting the leaders starting to pull away.
Yeah, they'll start to spread out quite a bit. You're going to see right here in this picture, I think I just saw right behind there. Yeah, there's 187. That's Jules Froms from Cedar Falls coming down the backside of the hill.
Again, this is coverage of the Rich Engel Classic, the women's division right now. We're at Birdsall Park in Cedar Falls, and a hot day here as the runners competing. Let's look at the rankings. This is for girls in class 4A. Johnston, number 1, Dubuque Senior. We've seen several of their runners competing well. They are ranked 3rd. Yes. And you look at the rest of the pack. Tiger's not in the top 10, but Cedar Falls certainly has run against a lot of these schools this year.
Yeah, they'll see a lot of them throughout the year. There's Jules Fromm once again coming by the picture, and then Mackenzie Michael is right there going around the side, and you can see her pace has picked up a little bit. She took the momentum down that hill and just kept it in stride. I'm hoping that she moves up. I feel like she can be a top 10 athlete in this race. She's probably sitting about 15th place right now, but based on her stride and where she's at, I think she's moving up. Here's athletes coming down the backside of that hill once again. This Cedar Falls athlete going by there from the side, and then if we go back up to this other shot right here, here comes some Cedar Falls athletes. 191 is Sarah Goodenbauer, 183 there is Natalie DeGabriel, and 203 is Lydia Ochoa, all coming down that hill. I'd love to see those Tigers. They're all kind of in a line there. You saw the Urbandale girls come by earlier. They were kind of packed up as a group. I'd love to see the Cedar Falls girls get together and take turns pushing the pace and work together a little bit more as they go around. And we also saw Devin O'Laughlin go by there.
And Troy Becker helping us out with our coverage here. Troy was the Cedar Falls boys cross-country coach for 22 years. And what about the athletes? Is this a meet they kind of circle on the calendar?
Oh yeah, the athletes love this one. We have a great setup, a great spectator course. It's one that's easy to see. There's another example of our 3 Tigers right there. They're all within like 10 yards of each other, and yet they're not together. There's a lot of strength if you can get used to pushing each other and pushing the pace together. I'd love to see them get together and do that. But yeah, Rich Engel is a great meet. What makes it so special, honestly, is our parents. They set up and have food for the athletes and drinks for the athletes. The complete volunteer groups comes out and helps set up the course for us. And of course, we're very fortunate that the city of Cedar Falls lets us use Birdsville Park to host an event like that. As we see Jana Freeman go by there, Tiger 186 just came by.
So at this point, we're about 2/3 through the race then, about.
At this point right here, these athletes are going by. Yeah, they're going by basically the 1.5 mile mark right there.
All right,
that group that they just showed. The leaders are already out at the 1.75 mile mark.
How many runners are on a team for people that aren't familiar with cross
So
country?
that's a great question. Usually in varsity, you run 7 and score 5. And in this particular meet, it's a time of year where coaches, there's 204 for us coming through the picture. Devin O'Laughlin is coming by the picture right there. But in this particular meet, coaches kind of wanted to see where we're at, so they went ahead and ran 10 runners in varsity. And that gave us the opportunity to kind of sort things out as we go into the next part of the back part of the season. These leaders coming up the hill here are actually coming around this diamond one more time, and then they'll be coming up on the 2 mile mark of the course. In fact, these athletes right here are approaching that point right now, so you can see that leader going through the 2 mile.
That's Claire Edmondson, right?
What was that, the Walter girl? Yeah.
Okay.
So they're going through right now. They've dropped down to about 6:15 pace. Now, what I'd love to see, here comes Mackenzie Michael. She was back in the 20th place, and now she's moved herself up, and you can tell that she's building back towards that top 10, which is encouraging because I feel like she's that type of runner. And the great thing about her is she gets better throughout the season. I've seen it for the last couple of years, and she tends to always peak at the championship time, and she's just a very strong, mentally tough type of kid.
You see the time as we're approaching, getting closer towards the finish here of the women's division here at the Rich Engel Classic. And who was Rich Engel for people that aren't familiar?
Well, first let me mention there's Jules Fromm coming by, and she's moved into the top 30, which is great. Rich Engel was the coach at Cedar Falls before I was there, and I was coach there for 22 years. So he passed away about it's been 22 years ago, and he had coached there for about 10 years or so before I did. Was a track coach, cross-country coach, great gentleman.
Again, you see the fans encouraging the runners here as with the 13:52 mark. And how is cross-country meet? How is it scored for people that aren't familiar?
It's pretty much just like if you finish first, you get a point. If you're fourth, you get 4 points. It's one of those things where low score is what you want to have. They score 5, and so a perfect score would be 15. That's when you go first, second, third, fourth, and fifth.
Here's the Tigers schedule. What's taken place so far this year, and The boys and girls have both been very respectable in all 3 of their meets so far.
Yeah, they have, and I feel like both of them are getting better, which is what you always want to see. You're going to have some great years. You're going to have some years where you might be towards the middle of the pack. My expectation when I was coaching at Cedar Falls is I felt like we were always going to be a top 10 program. I mean, 9 out of 10 years we should be top 10, and 5 out of 10 years we should be top 5 or better. So I think our coaches have that mentality, and they'll continue to help these athletes get better.
So they've been involved in some pretty big invitationals so far, as we're approaching towards the end now.
Yeah, and they're going around the pond right now. And one of the neat things about Birdsell Park is they have that beautiful pond that they run around, and the course is set up to where spectators can see them run almost everywhere on the course, which makes it kind of unique compared to some places where they go out someplace, you might not see them for a while, then they come back.
Again, 21 schools competing in this meet. And time right there in the bottom right-hand corner as we're approaching towards the end, as they'll be heading towards that finish here soon.
Right, and Mackenzie has moved up, I think, as I tried to count athletes there, to about 11th. And that's encouraging because, like I've said all along, I think that she can be definitely in the top 10. And she looks strong, and she's coming to the course where she's going to go up that hill again. And she knows that hill from training and from being on that course, and I suspect that she will be able to make a good charge towards the top 10. Here comes the senior 4 and 5 runner. And one of the things that makes seniors so good is because they have a good pack, and it looks like right now they're going to have 3 runners potentially be in the top 5, which is tremendous in terms of team scoring. And then their top 5 are looking to be in the top 20. So anytime you can put your 5 scorers in the top 20 in a 20-team meet, it's going to be looking pretty good for you. That looks like Jessica Van Dorn is coming by there once again, and she's coming around the pond and getting ready to head up the hill. Middle of the hill is a 2.5-mile mark. And again, this is a 5K race, which is 3.1 miles. And that's the clock to the left there is actually the mile clock, which tells me they're just going past right there at the top of that hill is our 2.5-mile mark. And then they get to finish down that long gradual hill and end up coming in towards the finish. At 17, there's 186, that's Jana Freeman, and she's moved herself in the top 50. And she's a junior.
Tigers trying to finish strong here at the Rich Engel Classic, which they're hosting. As we're approaching towards the finish now, I'm impressed with the pace today despite the warm weather.
Well, yeah, and this time of the year the athletes are a little bit more acclimated to the heat, so they can handle it a little bit better. There's 183 for the Tigers. That's Natalie G. Gabriel. She's in the top 75s. She's doing good there. She's got her eyes up. She's moving forward. She knows she's coming up to that hill to the finish. She's used to it, and she's finishing strong. These young ladies here are coming down the backside of the course. Now, there's Mackenzie, and as you can see, in front of her, I believe that's like 8 and 9, so she's going to make a charge here and hopefully get up well within the top 10. She looks strong.
She wants to kick now, right?
She's using the hill. Right now, she's under 800 meters to go. She's about 600 meters to go, and she's definitely building her pace. When she comes around the sign down here in a moment, which is the Birdsell Park sign, she'll be in at about a 1/4 mile out, and that's when I would expect that we would really see her start to show a little bit more of a kick and a pace.
All right, as we're approaching towards the finish here, the girls division of the 2018 Rich Engel Classic from Birdsall Park in Cedar Falls. Warm weather, and the runners have treated us to a pretty good race so far.
Yeah, absolutely. They look strong. This pack right here is heading down the hill. They're all on that back side, all within about at this point, 600 meters to the finish. And you can see they're all using the hill to start their build towards the finish and their kick. Here comes Jules Fromm once again from Cedar Falls, number 187 there.
So
And she's doing a great job. You can see that she's moving with that group as they take off. You want to make sure you move with a group, if not build past the group. Now there's Mackenzie coming around that sign, as I mentioned earlier. Look at how she's changed pace as she's going to the finish. She's just a tremendously great athlete to watch run, and you can see some of her 800 speed and 400 speed come out into play there, and how efficient she is in her running form.
So this is the finish chute as the runners are finishing things up here. We'll see how Mackenzie Michael can do. She had a strong kick.
So we've already had the first two runners come by, and this is the third place runner. That's from senior, and the fourth place runner is also from senior. Or actually, that might be, and then that looks like the fifth place runner. Here comes Mackenzie here, who's on your left, and she's in a hard kick. She did end up passing quite a few of those girls there, and it looks to me like she's going to probably be, looks like that was seventh maybe?
Place for Mackenzie Michael. Top 10 finish, and that's what they were hoping for her to.
Right. And there's a Dyke New Hartford athlete coming across the line. And you can see that it's a little bit spread out towards the top 10. And then you'll have a little bit more of a bunch when it gets into the 20 to 40 range of athletes coming across the line. And
all right, so that's the top 10. Claire Edmondson of Dubuque Senior taking first. And the Rams had 3 of the top 4. And then you see Mackenzie Michael for Cedar Falls, and the runner for Urbandale. Almost was a tie here for 6th and 7th.
Right, and a lot of times it'll be a tie on the time, but they've sorted that out at the finish line. Now there's seniors, 4 and 5 runners, and they're in the top 20. As a cross-country coach, it's not hard to figure out. You know, if you put in a meet of 20 teams, you have 5 in the top 20, you're probably going to be the team that's going to be winning that meet. And I would suspect that that's going to be their case.
All right.
And right here, it looks like I see Jules Fromm coming towards the finish. Right there, she just crossed.
More runners coming in. We'll have the team results here.
And we're going to probably see some more Cedar Falls athletes coming across here shortly, based on where I saw them on the course earlier. Next cross would probably be Jessica Van Dorn. I think I see her coming up here on the left.
See the big kick here as we're in the finish chute.
And that's good for her because she's going to be right around the 40 at the top 40 placing there. And you can see all the people around the finish and all the people that come support everybody that's out here on the course. It's just if you haven't been out and seen it in person, it's just one of those things you have to take in and realize. It's a very special event, and the athletes work so hard for it.
There's the team results. As you see, Dubuque Senior with that strong finish, the 3 of the top 4 runners, so they finish with 43 points, and they easily get past Urbandale, who's in 2nd place.
Yeah, they have a very strong team. And Dubuque Waldorf there has a ranked team in Class 3A, so that's a very strong squad. Cedar Falls actually being in 5th is about where we would expect them to be. They could have been worse on this day. I think being in 5th is a great finish for them. A lot of young kids trying to get better and working on getting better and improving their positioning as the season goes on.
Cedar Falls 5th. Good day for the Dubuque schools. Senior, Hempstead, and Wahlert on the top 3 of the top 4. And then the Tigers 5th. And then you see the rest of the pack. Decorah, Cedar Rapids, Washington, Ankeny, Charles City, and the rest. And there's the top Tiger finishes. And top 10 finish again for Mackenzie Michael.
Yeah, and she's a tremendous athlete, a tremendous hard worker too. That's what I like about her. And she's a good person. She's a good student athlete. That's what we want to see. I love that she contributes so highly in cross country and in track. And I've seen some signs of her lately of taking on a little bit more leadership role now that she's in her junior year. So the rest of those athletes on there, they're just going to keep working harder and keep getting better. And Coach Kiken, or excuse me, it's Johnson now. Amanda Johnson doing a tremendous job with them in her first year as head coach.
You don't see too much difference between from Jules to Natalie. They're all pretty similar.
And what, if they're going to run so close together, eventually what we're going to do is be training together in practice and maybe get some packs going and help each other move together and move as a pack.
So, good job, Troy. Thank you very much.
Yes, it's an honor.
So that's the girls division of the 2018 Rich Engel Classic. Coming up, we'll have the boys coverage, and the head coach for the Tigers, Scott Gall, will join us and talk about his Tigers as they compete in today's action. And again, this is cross-country coverage from Birdsall Park from the Rich Engel Classic on Cedar Falls Community Television.